this is a different kind of video, and I'm still not 100% sure if I even upload it, but yeah. This is more like an in-depth guide kind of video, because I see a lot of people, obviously when I play multiplayer matches, that do this constantly, and it basically fucks them over. So now the question is obviously, oh my god, what is this guy talking about? I'm talking about SPAAs, because I consider myself an SPAA main, because I couldn't care less about MBTs or light tanks or anything else. I just love to shoot down planes, helicopters, and then fly them myself as well, and shoot down more planes and helicopters. So it's kind of my playstyle, as you probably can see if I quickly misclick. If I click on my service board, and then Stormer! Fucking love this thing. Yeah, good. So the first thing is, this is more or less only about the post-war or post-World War II SPAAs that have radars. There's already like the first kind of thing. Actually don't know. Let's take actually these cans. Okay. Game didn't want to load. Okay, because they have a unique thing that Britain sadly doesn't have. So we have, first of all, let's put them all into a lineup so I can make it a bit easier. So we have, for fuck's sake, just quickly and prepared as always. So take this one, take this one, take this one. Don't. That doesn't matter. I can literally just ask Gaijin for some. So. But actually on this one I just put it to this slot. Good. So we have now 4 different SPAs. The differentiation between them is this one doesn't have a radar. It has only, actually don't know how it's called. You can lock on to planes, but you don't have a radar and they don't get a radar warning. Then you have the Sergeant York, which obviously has a radar, and enemies will see you. It's an active radar. Then you have the LAVAD, who I think does not have a radar, again, but has infrared missiles. And then you have the ADETS, which has an active radar and mouse-guided missiles, etc. And then the only differentiation to this will basically be Britain with the Stormer, because the Stormer is kind of unique at this point because it has a passive radar. So the first thing about the radars is all the active radars, so pretty much every SPAA in this game that has a radar will be detected by the enemy. So if an enemy, or like, let's say a rather modern plane and helicopters, because older planes obviously don't have that, but they will basically get the ping. Like you have your little your little icon on the bottom right where it shows your plane or helicopter, and if someone has their radar on, you will see like a beeping or like a bling basically. That means, oh, there's someone with a radar, so a potential threat. And the thing with a Stormer is it has a passive radar, so you will never see this thing on the radar. Even if he locks onto you, you will never see him. This is like the one advantage this thing has. And all the other things, it's a bit, yeah, special. Like I really adore this thing because of the stealth capabilities, but it has quite a bit of weakness. But anyway, so first to the kind of strategy that I would suggest for most people, because I see this across the board. If you spawn in, I suggest you like, have your radar up for a couple of seconds, just to more or less scout the area, and then just turn it off. Because the thing is, there are a lot of people, like I really doubt that I'm the only one that reacts to that so specifically. Like when I spawn with a plane and I see a radar ping, I immediately fuck off. Because the first thing is then I determine which BR I'm fighting at. So let's say I'm currently playing a lot of 10.3 because that's my favorite BR. So I'm flying around in my Jaguar. So the first thing is that I'm thinking about is what could I meet? So the worst case scenario would be a Tunguska with 10 kilometers of range. The second worst case, or like the more general case, would be a Roland with 8 kilometers, which still, like 8 kilometers is quite a range. And the more common will be Stellars, Ocelots, Sedans, Macbeths, whatever, like IR SAMs, which have generally a range of 6 kilometers. So this is the first thing that I pretty much tell all of my friends all the time when I play with them. If you spawn, respect the range. Like, yeah, you spawn in, you know the enemies have an SPAA, either through seeing it in the chat, either through earlier experience while being on the field and they killed something, or through the radar. So the first thing is respect the range. So this is more or less now currently a guide for planes, but yeah. And so as an example, if I know I play against Germany, I know I can expect Ocelots, I can Gepard, I can expect Roland, so 8 kilometers. So if I see a radar, I immediately stay away 8 kilometers from the closest cap to my position, because obviously most SPAA players for some fucking reason stay in their spawn, which is again not the best idea, but here we are. But so yeah, this is the first, and then I basically analyze the area. I check where they are. I ask my friends if I play in a squad, or just generally check the chat if someone has some information. And then according on that, I will obviously try to prioritize the AA and play around this. And this is already kind of a problem, because now we go back to the position we are the SPAA. Other people will do the same. So what I most of the time do, if I'm not specifically playing Britain with a Stormer, is I take the radar, keep it on for like 10, maybe 15 seconds, just have like my 3-4 rotations of the radar, and just turn it off. Because then I have more or less a rough knowledge of my surroundings, like specifically the air, but I don't give myself away anymore. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that if these people constantly keep on their radar, as soon as they see a plane, they just lock onto him with a radar, which is, again, you're locking onto someone. He sees that you lock onto him, so why should he approach you now? Like, still, there are a lot of idiots that just fly straight towards the battlefield and then are wondering why they got shot down immediately. Sorry, that's something in my throat. So yeah, basically, the first tip will be, don't keep your radar on the entire time, because you will give yourself away. The second thing is, especially for SPAAs that don't have missiles, that don't have IR SAMs or mouse-guided SAMs, so which rely on their guns, like the M163 and the Sergeant York over here. Don't lock onto the target immediately, because you will just basically warn them of your presence or of your intentions, and then they're like, nah, hell no, fuck that, and just search for distance again. Yeah, and most ATGMs can more or less outrange you, so not so good. So that's the first thing. The next thing that I constantly see is specifically related to guns that don't have proxy rounds. Like generally you should say like that the 20 to 35 millimeter, like the guns that need to hit directly, should only fire from like obviously point blank to like 2, maybe 2.5 kilometers, but further than that it's useless. It's just ammunition waste, and if you don't see that the enemy is currently stalling or it's a helicopter that doesn't pay attention, don't shoot, because you will just basically make them freak out and then just leave the area again, so you wasted your chance and most possibly made yourself a new target. So in there, just wait for them. As an example, I hear a lot of people like, oh, the Vulcan, the M163, it's so bad, blah 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 blah. if I ever play America, which is pretty rare. I adore this thing because you can just park it somewhere. And as an example, I like to play it on the Sinai map, then drive towards B, and there's like a one rock, relatively like on the opposite side of Sniper Hill. There's like a rock in the middle between your spawn and B, and I just position myself behind that. And the amount of times planes or helicopters just try to basically fly to your spawn or try to attack B and didn't pay attention to you, and you were just sitting there and waiting at like 3 kilometers start to lock on, waiting, then we're like 2 kilometers, maybe 1.5, and then you just one solid spray, and most of the time they're just gone. Because they can't react in this short amount of time, because they either rip, or they're just so fast that they're basically G-locking themselves so that they can't even evade, and then you just spray them down on a couple of bullets and you're good to go. Just a little tip from my expertise. But this is basically like the gun boils. So the next second stage would be the proxy boys, which is more or less the same with a radar. The radar thing stays with all, even with an ADATS. Don't spawn and keep the radar on. Even with a Panzer, even though you're fucking overpowered. Tunguska, Roland, Flakrat, Ito, Automatic, you fucking name it. Don't keep your radar on, because you will just give yourself away. You can, I don't know, keep it on for 10-15 seconds, drive around, turn it off, do whatever you do, like position yourself, maybe just generally watch into the direction of air spawns, helicopter spawns, maybe have someone tell you, ask your team, whatever, like do whatever you can. Like I obviously can't really ask my team if they're not in my squad because I'm chat banned, because I'm too honest, apparently. But yeah. So to that point, yeah. Whatever, English. So to the proxy boys, again, you shouldn't engage targets on kilometers and kilometers away. Like, try to put your maximum range to 2, maybe 3 kilometers, because again, your shells need to travel to the target before they explode. So even with proxy, which are really fucking good, and I'm still a little bit pissed off that I don't have them in my Britannia. But yeah, but this is obviously a way better way than just having solid rounds that need to hit directly. So that's relatively quick. Then the IR SAMs. Again, wait, I can actually, let's go to test drive quickly. Because one thing that I constantly see, I'm currently making a video for my clip compilation, where there is one very specific case in there as well. And maybe even put it into this video at the end. I think I do that. So it was basically, to first explain the story, I was in my Jaguar and there was a Strela firing at me. So, and the Strela has good SPA, has good IR missiles, that is a fact, but they extremely react to flares. Like, they immediately swap the flares as soon as you use them. So I constantly watched him while fighting an Su-25. I fired my AAM. I have a stroke. I fired my AAM at the Su-25 while he was constantly firing at me. And every time he fired, I just pressed once my flares, basically fired his missile, and then just continued with my way. And he couldn't do anything against me. And that's the thing. If someone notices you just constantly firing missiles, you will probably not succeed. Because as an example, I see a lot of people that they... Okay, these are probably very bad examples. As an example, you should always fire if the target is flying away from you, because that's a pretty easy hit. But, or if they fly towards you. But in this angle, this is a very shit angle. I see people fire at this kind of angle. You will never hit that. Just don't. Wait, it's a pure waste of ammo. Just wait that the target flies straight. Either here, like this one, is flying towards me. So he has spawn protection and completely fucks me over. Thank you, guys. So you just hold onto him, wait, then he turns away, that he gives you a better surface, and then just clutch. And he's gone. Okay, it was a bad example, but I hope I get the point over. Good. Good, that was these kind of missiles. You just basically watch your ammunition, because most of them have very limited ammo. Like the Gepard has 4, Ocelot has 8, Type 93 has 8. Like obviously with the LAVAD you have a pretty easy mode, because you have a good gun, you have a good chassis, and you have 16 of them. Well, to be fair, yeah, it's 10-0. It's balanced, kind of. It is a high BR, but it has a lot of ammunition. Good. And then we go to the last one. The last one is, again, the last one is kind of a problem, because, again, you shouldn't just keep your radar on the entire time, because at this BR planes are very modern, obviously. They have very modern weapons, so they can just AGM you across the fucking map. They can do whatever with you, and yeah, you're basically making yourself a target. Why is he not doing this? Oh, whatever. But obviously you can engage targets at way further distances. But again, with the lock on, I suggest you, if you see a plane spawn in, since this thing is thermal, you can just watch for it. First analyze and see what the enemy does. Because most of the time, if the enemy see radars, they just dip down. They immediately go to a very low level of altitude and just fly around. Obviously, this is a problem for you, because you can't really engage someone when he flies behind trees. But if they don't see you, and hopefully no one in your team either, and they stay at high altitude, then let them come closer. Let them come closer, a couple of meters. Like, try to get them 2 to 3 kilometers less than your maximum range, if that makes sense. Like, the ADS has 10 kilometers range, so just engage the target at 7 to 8 kilometers. That he can't just turn around and fly away again. Like, I do that a lot. That I tease people, especially with helicopters. I fly into their range, shoot a missile as an example, like on the Royvarg, because like I slightly outrange the 10 kilometers. So I fly into their range, shoot my missile, and then just hover backwards, and they can't do anything. They literally can't do anything. They have to drive towards me, and I just fly backwards quicker. And then they will get hit, and I don't. So, pretty successful. So that was basically this. Yeah, I will just put my clip behind my little speech here, and then hope you liked this, and maybe you can use it in some extent, that it improves your gameplay or helps you with some situations. Because yeah, most of the time I play, best example, I play 8-3, 8-3 to 10-3, that's currently my range. Because I want to stay out of the range of Panzer. That thing is just straight up destroying the game for me, so I'm just staying out of their range. And at these ranges, I obviously meet a lot of SPAAs, a lot of planes. I know how they react, I know how they play. Since I'm a pretty much pure tank RB player, I'm basically trying to give you my knowledge in hopes that it improves some of the players. Because yeah, like that's the only thing I can contribute, because the other issues like the one spawn premium people, I really can't fix that, sadly. German teams, looking at you. As a German, das geht so nicht. Egal. Gut. Yeah. I think that's it. He's getting some MVTs and everything to the front. So I was just picking them off one by one. Oh, there's another SPA. Oh, it's a Strela.
It's a Strela.
Strela 20G is really good. on the A side near the hill. The only good thing about the Strela, or yeah.
Oh, come on.
Shit. Yeah, I'm trying to get in.
Hey, Dad, why don't you do your job?
Yes.
Come on. Like, I don't expect like teamwork, but I expect you to do what you gotta do with your vehicle. I'll be back. I need to pee. I'll be back in anger.
Ooh.